Friends, my mission over the past 2 weeks was building and painting this KV-2 heavy tank from Tamiya in 1/48 scale. This model represents a very unique tank defending Leningrad in the winter of 1943, based on this historical photograph. So let's pick up where we left off a week ago and give this Soviet Hulk some proper winter weathering. The first task in this lineup was adding light-colored superficial chips with a sponge. I like this method a lot because although it's not as precise as painting them one by one with a paintbrush, it gives you lots of variety, and even if you end up with some ugly chips here and there, they're easy to fix. Either scrubbing them off with a toothpick or the dark steel chips will tidy them up. Because this tank is partially covered in thick winter camouflage, I only had to apply them on the green parts, which saved me some time. The only place where I used a paintbrush was the side plates where the fenders were ripped off. I used a thin strip of masking tape as a guide, and instead of painting a boring stripe, I created the effect using several random brushstrokes for some of that sweet visual texture. Steel chips are the next big thing. While the previous layer was painted with silver gray from AK Interactive, this effect is made with my favorite dark rust from Vallejo Panzer Aces range. I gotta be honest here. Maybe you know that feeling when you haven't done a specific technique in a while. Let's say, I don't know, you build one model a year and when it comes to painting, you're all shaky and have zero confidence. Yeah, this exact thing happened to me here. Although the last time I did some of those fine hand-painted chips was at the end of August. Well, I think we have the answer. Now that I said it aloud, it was indeed a while ago. That's why you gotta keep finishing those models, so you can get that muscle memory on all techniques, you know? Anyway, one interesting observation here. I've built many KV tanks in the past and I've always thought their exhausts were made from sheet metal as on most other tanks. But as it turns out, they were cast iron, which doesn't corrode as much. So how can we distinguish them from the rest of the tank and tell the viewer that these are heat-affected parts? Well, more chipping and more rust effects than on the surrounding area. And also, those large pieces of exposed metal where the fender braces used to be, I painted those with ash gray because gray colors, in general, are the best foundation for rust effects if you want to achieve that unpainted, oxidized steel surface. Now that I mentioned them, let's move on to the enamel rust zones. This is my standard application of streaking rust effects from ammo blended with enamel thinner. Whenever there's a specific relationship between the tank's base color and the rust zones, I make sure to talk about it a little, and this is no exception. I often praised how well Soviet 4BO and dark rust stains work together. The rust gives it a richer, deeper, more intricate look, so to say. Nothing like German yellow where you gotta be very careful, otherwise it'll be painfully visible. The same applies to winter whitewashes. The flat white paint will absorb even the slightest hint of blended enamel rust, so we gotta be very careful there. So, as you can imagine, this model was full of opposites. On one hand, it was a pleasure to blend those rust effects over the green portions, yet I had to be very careful near those white areas. Luckily, because I didn't add any chips over the winter camo, it wasn't so tricky. But hey, as I said, a winter camouflage is a system of techniques that all contribute to the final muddled look of the whitewash. So even if some rust seeped into it, a quick round of mapping with pure white would fix the issue, and probably lead to even more intricate results. To finish off this stage, I added some silver chipping over the weld beads. Welds on armor don't rust, or they take decades to form any corrosion, and it's a nice detail that brings out the heavy weld texture. It's especially satisfying when you put in the effort and rework them using epoxy putty. If you make a mistake and the chipping seems out of scale, just hit that area with a pit wash and it'll nicely tone the chipping down. Alright, so that's our model after the chipping phase. I like to believe these effects make any model look heavier and give them that metal look, right? And even if it might seem excessive at times, when you look at the model from a normal viewing distance, the amount of wear seems just about right, especially when we consider this is a veteran tank that's been in action for 2 whole years. Before we proceed to the weathering stages, attention needs to be paid to those few details that are on the tank. The headlight, which doesn't come with a clear lens, was painted using a little experiment of mine. I painted it silver, I know it has beginner level written all over it, and then gave it a wash with ammo shader called Dirt. This acted as a pin wash, and then I airbrushed the same product over the top half, creating a sort of fake shadow. Some clear enamel gloss sealed the deal, and I think it doesn't look so bad. There's also a brake light on a KV hull, and this was just a silver base covered with clear red from Tamiya. And the machine guns were painted with a dark grey color and later polished with a pencil. Okay, now we can proceed to the fun part, or the not so fun part, depending on your personal taste. But honestly, getting rid of those ugly black tracks is definitely fun. So I started base coating them in my simplified rust coat. This means a very generous layer of Tamiya German grey followed up by a random thin coat of flat brown. Even though I glued the tracks and wheels together, the painting and weathering were still relatively easy. Next, I gave them some good stippling with AK Dark Earth Terrains paste. It's an acrylic mix with a very nice texture and it dries pretty fast. Ideal as a quick base for our mud effects. I stippled this paste on the lower hull as well, mainly towards the bottom. You can often see how the mud collected on the suspension swing arms. It's a small detail that's sometimes observable in a few historical photos. However, because the paste dries really fast, you gotta quickly blend the edges with tap water, otherwise it'll leave very ugly tide marks. But hey, even if that happens, worry not, because next step, aka pre-dusting, will take care of it. I mixed Tamiya buff and German grey for a greyish, desaturated earth tone, ideal for this winter setting. The mud paste gives us texture and volume, while this airbrushed effect acts both as a transition between the muddy and clean parts and also as a foundation for enamel effects. But if you like things, let's say, smooth and neat, I mean, you can use this as a final weathering layer because why not, right? And now I could paint all the polished metallic parts of the running gear, again using silver. This wasn't a fun job at all. It took forever and the silver paint ain't the best when it comes to brush application. But if you want to pay attention to details, it needs to be done. Okay, so now I would say it's time to start weathering with enamels, but I did this next step with acrylics again. This is Dry Earth from Wilder's Aqualine range. It's a gouache paint, so it's acrylic, but a very special kind. The kind you can reactivate and blend with water at any point. Sadly, Wilder Company is now out of business, so no more Aqualine for us. However, the same effect can be achieved with enamels. I just like to work fast and don't wait for hours while each layer dries completely, so I prefer combining acrylics and enamels. Here I'm for example using Rainmarks effects from Ammo, which is enamel paint, and the way I'm applying them using the speckling method gives the earth layers more texture. Now we can focus fully on the dark earth tones. This one is Turned Earth from Ammo. It comes from their heavy mud range, so it's a very thick paint straight out of the bottle, but you can easily thin it down just like any other enamel paint. Again, I chose a slightly greyish tone, which complements the dry mud and the gloomy winter atmosphere. And because everything beneath this layer is acrylic, I could safely apply and blend the effect without any waiting. And the final effect is the darkest earth color, simply simulated with winter streaking grime, a color I normally use for pin washes. When you think about it, mud effects are just 3 layers of continuously darker paints, all applied using the same methods, just in smaller and smaller quantities. My goal with this was... I don't even know. I just wanted to apply my standard effects and make sure there's gonna be something interesting, you know, under the layer of snow. Mud effects and winter just go nicely together in my opinion, even if it's completely freezing outside. So here we have it, and although I must confess that I totally rushed this process because I wanted to finish the model in time for this video, the result is, I'd say, still pretty nice. And the amount isn't too excessive, you can still see some of the original green colors for the most part. The tracks were treated the same way, I just had to finish the shiny portions, and here I tried a new product from VMS, a liquid steel pigment. It works just like polishing with graphite powder, it just comes in the form of enamel paint. So if you wanna try it, or any other VMS product, or anything else you might need, go to mishtoy.com, register there, and use the promo code MFRIENDS2022 to get a nice 15% discount on all your orders. You might even find yourself wanting to try this one as well. It's acrylic snow from AK, and it has this fluffy, foamy consistency. It's designed for those thick layers of freshly fallen snow in dioramas. I used it on my Panzer 38 T vignette, for example, and it seemed to me like the best medium for replicating frozen snow that's been compacted into the tank's tracks. Honestly, I've seen far better results from other modelers who used something else. I just don't know what. I tried several methods, fixing snow microballoons with flat varnish and acrylic thinner, but I mean, the result was very mushy and not so realistic. Long story short, this was the best result I could pull off with the materials I currently have at my disposal. And you know what, I think it could have been much worse. And with that out of the way, I could finish the model by airbrushing very diluted flat black around the exhausts. This is a trademark effect of all Soviet tanks as they sputter engine oil all over the place. So in my mind, it gives the model a nice, Soviet look. So anyway, my friends, this model is finished and ready for a snowy scenic base. I also need to paint the figure for it, or possibly figures, too maybe, but the base itself is gonna be quite interesting, because I'll try to replicate frozen ground with random patches of fresh and frozen snow. You know, something that will match the effect on the tracks. Now, making muddy ground with some melting snow is easy and it looks awesome, but this makes me slightly nervous. As for the setting itself, well, the scene will take place in Leningrad, and I might have some ideas for it, but we'll see how it all turns out. I'll definitely try to make it small and compact, with the main focus being the groundwork, not some intricate story, because, to be honest, my hands are tied by the figures I was able to get for this project. In the meantime, I want to say thank you for watching, my friends, and thank you to my awesome patrons who make this show possible. If you like what I'm doing, want to get more of it, and in return support my work, you can go to my Patreon page and see what kind of reward would you like. I'm posting there almost every day with updates from my workbench. We can get in touch through DMs, comments and emails. I'm posting 1 week early ad-free videos, so you could watch the scenery come to life right now. I also have some small 3D models for detailing your projects, a bunch of references from the real world if you need inspiration for old buildings, landscapes and so on, and these beautiful studio photos which you can download in full resolution. Alright, dear friends, this was a quick little project, but it wasn't always relaxing, so it wasn't a quick relaxing project. Honestly, I've been sleeping roughly 4 hours a night for the past few weeks, simply because of how much stuff is still going on here. But tell you what, I plan on wrapping my house remodeling before Christmas, and that's not too far away, so yeah, wish me luck with that, and you all stay safe, stay awesome, build your models, don't just collect them, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheerio!